Let's see here. Yeah, good, 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 good. So, hello, everybody. I am so delighted that you could make it. Thrilled that you're here. And I wanted to welcome you. I know you've got a lot of things competing for your time and that you decided to spend it with me. So, glad you're here. And so the way I'm going to progress today is I'm going to speak, I think, for about 30 minutes or so, and then I'm going to open it to questions. Hopefully you'll be able to, and I'm going to try to also manage the people in the waiting room because unfortunately I set this up so that you get put into a waiting room, and that means then I have to admit you when you come in. So if you see me distracted, it's because somebody's popped up and is in the waiting room, and so I want to admit them. So I apologize for any disruption that's going to cause. Anyway, what I was saying was I'm planning to speak for about a half hour, and then what I'll do is open it to Q&A and for a little bit, and then I've got to run before the top of the next hour, wherever you are in the world. So just a heads up on that. Hey, Hannah. Glad you're here. Anyway, all right. So what we're going to talk about today is the five powerful lies about presenting that are holding you back. All right. They are holding you back. And one of the things, if you work with me, you know that I believe completely. And I think I'm a good example of this. And many of my clients are good examples of this, that I'm, in terms of using speaking and communicating to really be able to connect with audiences in a way that you can't do with any other type of communication. So we spend a lot of time writing, and it's very, one of the things that we are convinced about, I think, is that we write, let's see, I want to make sure that we stop video. We've got to make sure that your video is off. Let's see, somebody's video is on here. Mute, stop video. Okay, so there, we stopped your video. Yeah, sorry for all the technical stuff, everybody. It happens. But what I was saying was that the whole idea of being able to speak and communicate in a powerful and charismatic way is extremely important. And it's one of the ways, of course, I'm an evangelist for this kind of thing. So I want to talk to you today about the 5 lies that we tell ourselves. So we tell ourselves these lies that keep us from getting better at this stuff. Now, I happen to know a number of people on the call today, a number of people who have registered and who are here today, who are extraordinarily successful already. And I would wager that one of the reasons that these folks are successful is that they are constantly looking after themselves in terms of professional development and self-improvement. And that's an incredibly effective way, and something that we all need to be extremely, I guess, cognizant of. I was working with a client recently. This is somebody who was a COO, the Chief Operating Officer of a rather large financial institution. And this individual, this executive, had been notified that they were under consideration for the CEO role. And they were one of 3 other people within the firm, and the CEO was going to retire coming up within the fiscal year. And this is the type of person that looks after themselves when it comes to professional development. Anyway, about 2 months into our mandate, this person was notified that, in fact, they had been selected as the next CEO of this company, which is pretty remarkable. And so was this because of some miracle that happened in the 8-week span that we were working together? No, nothing happens that quickly. But what did happen was that this individual, and Tom, I am going to get rid of your, stop your video there. Okay, cool. So what did happen was that this person is constantly, as I said, looking at ways to improve. Now, again, it's not some miracle that I was able to make happen. But this is the kind of person that does well. Now, have I had clients who have come to me and they've been a C-level executive and they've wanted to be the CEO of either their existing company or another company? Yeah, and they've done well. They've done well by working with me. But that isn't all the whole story. So I want to make that really clear. So what I'm going to do right now is to tell you about what I just got back from. I just got back from 3 weeks, almost 3 weeks on the road with my own speaking tour. I had 4 keynotes to deliver, and this was incredibly, what's the word? It was very difficult for me because they were 4 separate organizations with different types of requirements. Now, even though for each of them, I spoke about my main topic, which is very similar to what I'm speaking about today, they were simply different stories that needed to be told, different audiences, different times of day. What else? Different times of day. So, you've got to be careful. It's like, are they drinking? Like, is it an evening thing? And are they going to be drinking? So there were afternoon presentations. There were morning presentations. There was, as I said, different groups, but it was over the course of about 2.5 weeks. So I started from New York to Chicago, Chicago to Los Angeles, Los Angeles to Las Vegas. By the way, I spent way too much time in Las Vegas. So I wouldn't do that again. But, and then Las Vegas to Sonoma, which I ended up in, and then returned finally back to the New York area, which is where I'm from. But it was exhausting. And so it was very difficult, even for me, who's professional at this, to keep all of those different presentations and those stories in my head at the same time. So I started getting ready for these things back in August. And beginning of August, I calendared it in. I put it into my calendar and I made sure that I did the work. And I got most of them ready. Certainly the first one was ready to go by the time I left. So it was on the 18th. I left for Chicago on the 17th. I was speaking on the 18th. And so that was super important for me to be ready with that. But the other ones weren't quite finished. So as soon as I would finish one, I would go on to the next. And then as soon as I finished that, I'd go on to the next. So I was working nonstop, really, for that entire almost 3-week period, just trying to get them ready, just so that they would be really good. I was being paid for these and I was being paid well. So it was important to me to do them well. So even I will fall into the trap of believing some of these quote unquote myths that we construct for ourselves to keep us from doing the work. One of the places that I got to go was really an amazing place. I got to go, and this was the last event that I spoke at, the Skywalker Ranch in Nicasio, California, which that's pretty cool. That's the George Lucas compound. And they've now opened it up. It's a big conference center. I think it used to be his film studio, but he sold that to Disney. But yeah, I want to show you this is a picture. It's hard to see. This is my peeps, the people I was speaking to, and I am right there, right? That's me. And there's Yoda. There's Yoda. So they have the statue of Yoda, but, you get to do things like that and go to very cool places. And so, that's another reason I would encourage you to get good at this. So let's start with the lies, all right, that I had listed in the email, which is why you are here. And I want to start to debunk them. The first is that it's a soft skill, right? That's the first lie that we tell ourselves. It's a soft skill. So the word soft implies, let's say it implies that it's superficial, that it's fluffy, that it's unimportant, and that it is certainly not as important as the quote unquote hard skills, right? The technical skills that you need to do your job. So the truth is that you need both. You need to have those quote unquote soft skills, and you also need to have the hard skills, but you've got to think of the hard skills, the technical information, as the way you get your job, and the soft skills as the way you keep and you ascend in your job, or you do better in your job. So it doesn't matter whether you are talking to the board of directors, you're talking to clients and customers, you're out there doing a presentation to the public, you're speaking to a government entity, you're doing a media interview, you are doing a video, perhaps. And if you have any questions about video, just let me know. I can certainly answer, but we're saving that until the end. And, so the question that I always have, and I've been examining this for, over 25 years, which is how long I've been doing this type of work. Why is it so rare? Why is it so rare that people are good at these skills? If you think about it, you know I'm right about it. You go out, you all go to conferences, you all see a number of speakers throughout. Even when you're working in your current field, you go to presentations, or you yourself are speaking, or you see your colleagues present internally and externally, and most of them suck. Let's be honest. Most of them suck. They just are boring. And you've got to wonder why it is. And again, that's because we have tended to delude ourselves. One of those lies that we tell ourselves is that it's a soft skill, implying that it is unimportant. And so, I study language. I know that language influences the way we think, the way we feel, and the way we behave. And as a result of words having that kind of impact, we've got to sort of shift our mindset, I think, around how we think about these skills. As I said before, they are essential. Well, I didn't say this. They're not soft skills. They are essential professional skills. I recently saw an article that quoted Warren Buffett, the great investor, who said the investing in himself to become a better presenter, a better speaker, was the best business investment he made. And he tells students this. There's a video clip that I share with my classes, the programs that I do, and with my speaking audiences, that he actually says, he answers a question about how a student asks a question about how they can ascend into the executive ranks, a business school student. He's speaking to a class of business school students. And he says, you got to get good at public speaking, whether you like it or not. And so he feels it's one of the best investments he ever made. I also just recently read that Indra Nooyi, the CEO of PepsiCo, who announced recently that she was stepping down after 12 years at the helm, which will, of course, just cut the number of women CEOs of big companies back down to 3 or 4%. It was running around 6% there for a while. Whoop-de-doo. But anyway, back down to the 3 or 4%. But Nooyi also said she was rudely awakened by the fact that she was smart in everything. She got A's in everything. That was not a problem for her to get good grades, except in public speaking, where she apparently did very poorly and had to retake the class, and realized that it was very important for her to be able to persuade. If she was going to get her programs out, if she was going to be able to sell the things that she needed to sell, the procedures and the recommendations that she had at Pepsi, and ultimately become the highest ranking executive at that company, at that huge company with tens of thousands of employees in just about every country in the world, she was going to have to learn how to communicate in a more effective and charismatic way. So I think that that's really interesting, because here's the truth. I call this a Ruth's truth. This is something that both Buffett and Nooyi know. They know that markets and companies become more confident with leadership that is articulate, that is clear in their communications, and who exude confidence and even charisma. They understand this. The other thing that they know is that this is a default competitive advantage. It's a default competitive advantage. It goes back to what I was saying earlier about very few people being good at it. But the ones who are good at it, and you know who they are, maybe it's you. Here's what it enables you to do. This particular skill, above everything else, enables you to leapfrog over your equally qualified peers And even more importantly, it enables you to leapfrog over your more qualified peers. So maybe you're thinking, well, that's just unfair. Even though you know it's happened to you, it's happened to me, it's happened to everyone, right? Where we, we're the best on paper. We've got the most qualifications. We have been in the business the longest. We have the most experience. We know more than most everybody competing for that job, that promotion, that customer, whatever it is that we are competing for. However, somebody else gets the position, the job, the bonus, the raise, whatever it is. Again, the CEO job. And it just doesn't seem fair, right? We think about that. We think it's not fair, but it is fair. It's totally fair. And so I want you to shift your mindset around this in terms of the fairness piece of it by thinking about your favorite musician or athlete. The people who, your favorite performer or athlete, these people, I'm thinking Tiger Woods, right? Tiger Woods is back, right? After 5 years of being sort of in the, not being able to be the old Tiger. Then he won some big tournament, some major tournament. I can't remember what it was. After 5 years, he's now back. Now Serena Williams, one of the greatest tennis players, champions of all time, she did not win this last event, but she'll be back. She'll be back too. I have no doubt about it. These are competitive people, but they put the time in. They put just this much more time in perhaps than the next competitor. Now, that is what the people who do this well have to do. You have to put the time in. So that's what they do. They invest their time. They invest, sometimes they have to invest money. You don't have to invest a lot of money. You can, but you don't have to. But you do have to put in the time, and that is what they do. So instead of being that person that's leapt over by the less qualified peers, then be the person who gets it. Because I assure you that if a client, or if the person who is the object of your presentation, the people who you're speaking to, do not connect with you, do not buy from you, and they have the means and the motive, I assure you it's a matter of the presentation. I assure you it's a matter of how do you connect with them in a way that makes sense. As I said earlier, a default competitive advantage. This is not a soft skill. It is essential. It's an essential professional skill. So, okay, let's go on to number 2, right? If slick presenters sound too salesy, we wouldn't want to sound salesy, right? So salesy is a pejorative term. I remember I don't hear it as much anymore, but I used to hear it. It's a pejorative term that implies manipulative, right? It implies manipulative. The truth is that everyone needs to know how to sell genuinely and authentically. So let's just talk about authenticity for a minute. This is a term that is overused and misunderstood. Authenticity is, when anybody who tells you in this type of a setting to just be yourself doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. I'm sorry, and here's why. Okay, I understand why they say it, but here's why you shouldn't just be yourself, quote unquote. Because we all have many different selves. We have ourselves when we are with our friends over a glass of wine. We have ourselves when we're with our kids. We have ourselves when we're with an infant. We have ourselves when we're talking to our dog. We have ourselves when we are speaking to our boss or clients or customers, and they're different. So the thread that runs through all those different selves are our core values and philosophy. Those are the core, those things are the thread that run through all of our different selves. So you have to adapt. You have to adapt to whatever communication environment you are in. And certainly if you are on a platform speaking to a group, you're in a particular type of presentational and communication setting that you must adapt to and do some different things for. But you are still the same person, and your philosophy and your core values and ethics are still the same. So that is what should come through, but different things have to occur for you to be successful in that communication, just like the others. Now, I will say that with the others that I mentioned, with your friends, with your family, with your pets, look, you can adapt those types of whatever you need to communicate in those environments without any training whatsoever, without even consciously thinking about it. But when we do this kind of work that I'm doing right now, presenting to you via video webinar, you've got to be more purposeful and more intentional about it. You've got to do some things, and we're going to talk about some of those things in a moment. So, look, command of your room, right? If you are talking about commanding a room, if you're talking about getting rid of some of these lies, not sounding too salesy, it is about creating intimacy and connection. And this is the kind of intimacy and connection that doesn't interfere with the technical aspects of your job. It enhances them. It augments them. So when we talk about what happens for most people, they are out there doing their presenting, again, to customers, clients, certainly on the platform, in a public speaking setting, any type of communication in the media, on camera, whatever it is that you're doing. And you're thinking, I've got to tell them every technical piece of information that I know, because that makes me seem smart and knowledgeable about my field. But that's a huge mistake. You can't overwhelm them with the technical information, because guess what, everybody? They are still human beings. They still like a good story to be told. So you've got to be very mindful of that. And most smart people, and I include everybody on this call and all of my audiences and all of my clients, again, tend to overwhelm with the technical information. Of course, you have to know how to think technical thoughts, do technical things, and bring technical projects to their logical ends. But if you want to, not sound salesy, if you want to really connect in that authentic way, depending on the situation, you've got to be able to take all that technical information and make it come alive in a way that makes people feel something. So think about what the big advertisers pay billions for. Think about a diamond is forever. You're in good hands with Allstate. Nationwide is on your side. Right? So we've got that. What's the other one that I love? The ultimate driving machine. And my all-time favorite, what happens here stays here. I was just in Las Vegas. So, yeah. I would say, yeah, that's true. It's still a good slogan. That's 12 years old. And those other slogans are also quite old, but they make us feel something. They light up the right side of the brain, the emotional and creative side of the brain. They make us want to buy from those people. And that isn't all that they do. There are many other examples I can give you, but I want to give you one client example, a client who participated in one of my group programs, who was had sent me this was a CEO of a wealth management firm, had sent me her deck and had decided that she was going to call it, what was it? So she was wealth manager, CEO of a wealth management company. She was going to call this presentation, Invest Like a CFO. And all I could think of was, oh my gosh, invest like, just shoot me right now. Not that I have anything against CFOs. I work with them all the time. They are by definition, technical people, right? That's what they do. And so, like I said, I've worked with a lot of them, and we need them. But as we were talking about what the title of that should be, how she was going to draw people in, I asked her what her objective was with this presentation. And it turned out that she had discovered in her years of doing this kind of work that that clients were more successful, and she was more successful when she was investing on behalf of clients if they knew something, if they took a little ownership of the process. So she's the expert, but they were a little more educated. The more educated they were in the financial, in the investing world, the more successful everybody was, the better returns they received. And of course, she was able to collect more fees, bigger fees, because she'd make more money from them. So it was a win-win all around. So we thought about, okay, you want to educate them a little bit. You want them to take some ownership. How about invest like you own the place? Yeah, that's what I want. I want an investment advisor where that's the relationship that we have. So that's what she used. In fact, she participated in the Command the Room live series. Gosh, I guess it was about a year ago now. And I just received an email. I'm on her list, of course. And I just received an email from her she's still using it. So that just makes me smile. It's clearly working. Very happy to see that. Okay, so slick presenters sound too salesy. No, slick presenters sound prepared. They sound, slick presenters. Presenters who are ready to go, they don't sound too salesy. They sound authentic. Okay, so don't worry about that. Don't worry about being too slick. We're going to actually reverse the two next ones. I shouldn't be so nervous as number 4, and practice will make me sound canned and phony as number 3, but we're going to reverse them. So the first one, I shouldn't be so nervous, is you should be nervous, okay? You should be nervous. Nervousness means that you care about the outcome. And what could be wrong with that? The truth is that nerves go with the territory, and they can actually help you if you manage them properly. So I mentioned that they go with the territory. Look, I will be honest with you. I worry about the clients who don't get it. I mentioned I was on the speaking tour. I was nervous before every single presentation. Before I step onto that stage, my heart is beating at an accelerated rate. I'm feeling a little more, jittery than I would normally feel. I really have to just sit and breathe and calm myself down before I step out onto the platform. But I know that I care about it. And as I said, I worry about clients who don't get it. I've had people come to me and say, I never practice. I never get nervous. That's what they say. I never get nervous, and it's never a problem. It's like, yeah, show me. If you're not nervous, it means you don't care enough. It doesn't mean that you have to be exceedingly nervous. I have worked with, over my long career, almost 3 decades now, I have worked with just a handful of people who have what I would consider to be clinical nervousness. This does happen, but there's help for them. There's treatment. And so because there's no need to suffer needlessly. I don't want people to suffer needlessly. And the treatment, it's medical. You have to see your doctor. It is so helpful. Nobody has to suffer. Nobody has to be exceedingly nervous so that it messes you up, right? No matter how much you prepare, you still get so nervous you can't do a good job. Your mind won't let you. There's a great cartoon. I don't have it for you here today, but there's a great cartoon that I share with my audiences. It's a picture of, looks like, around the time of Louis the 14th, right? So in France. So there's the executioner standing on the stage with the condemned, and there's a guillotine behind the condemned, and the executioner is saying, "Any last words?" And you see the thought bubble from the condemned, and it says inside the thought bubble, it's like, "Nuts, I hate public speaking." So it's very funny. It's a universal feeling. People would rather be, run over by a truck, rather step out onto an interstate than do a speech, do a presentation. You should be nervous, all right? But there is, you've got to be, there are ways to manage it. You've got to, the idea that you would, what's the word I'm looking for? Can be controlled. Nervousness can be controlled. And the best way to control it is through practice. That's the best way to control nervousness, is through practice. So let me tell you about this. Practice is the biggest obstacle for my busy clients because it is so freaking tedious and boring. It is so tedious and boring. I will tell you, my practice for my keynotes started at the beginning of August. Again, this is my main topic. I do it all the time, but these were different audiences. They required different stories, different transitions, and just a different vibe for each one. And I had to calendar it in because I knew that I wouldn't do it otherwise. It is why my clients get me on their calendar. They get me on their calendar in order to make sure that they do it, because there are always going to be more interesting things to do. There's always going to be fires to put out, and there are always going to be, as I said, more interesting and more sexy things to do than practice. By the time I was done practicing, and I tell this to everybody, I was so bored with my own presentation that you feel like nobody could possibly be interested in what I have to say. But I know through my experience that the practicing makes me more able to manage the nervousness and the stage fright that I feel, and to get out there and do a good job, even if there's a technical glitch. And, let me tell you something. I worked with a technology company. I was a big one, a major one. You all know what it is. And they couldn't get their technology together. They couldn't get their technology shit together. I will never feel badly about a technical glitch again in my entire life. So I'm sharing that with you. So one of the biggest technology companies in the world couldn't make it happen, or they finally did, but they had trouble. So next time technology goes down, don't worry about it. All right? Don't worry about it. You'll fix it, or you'll get by without it. But anytime things go wrong, my God, I've been on stages when there was a fire drill at the hotel. You just can't make this stuff up. You can't make it up. And yet you have to keep going. You're the leader. You have to go. The great actor, Michael Caine, has a wonderful, elegant saying. He says, rehearsal is the work. Performance is the relaxation. Rehearsal is the work, performance is the relaxation. So you've got to put in the work. You have to put in that work. So before I give you the my final tip, and I'll take some questions, I want to tell you that Command the Room, that program that I mentioned a while back earlier, is actually starting up again on the 19th. That's a week from tomorrow. It's starting on the 19th. It is a live webinar series. It's done through this platform. So you see me just like you're seeing me today. You're in the chat room. You can chat with me, or I can unmute you. You can ask questions. It is 6 sessions, 6 monthly classes. So on Fridays, about 4 to 5 weeks apart through, we start in October. I think it ends last classes in March. And of course, there is a member site, password protected, where you can download all the materials and get the recordings in case you can't make it live. There is a group forum that is fantastic, that you can ask me questions. You have access to me through the group 24/7, and I will get back to you usually within a day or two with an answer. I mentioned that CEO of the wealth management company who sent me the deck with the title that we worked on together. And, so I've had some wonderful participants. It's designed mainly for client-facing people and for people who are looking to get better at these skills, or who may already be good at it, but you're looking to get to the next level with it. So I did want to tell you that we are starting up. Let me put in here the link. That is the link. It's ruthsherman.com/command. And I have a special offer, but just for the folks who are on this webinar today, people who've registered. And that is the regular price is $3,600 with a $600 a month payment plan. And the special price for you today, and actually this price will be good through the weekend, through Sunday, is $29.97. So that is a 6 monthly. You can pay in full, of course, if you'd like, or you can pay 6 monthly payments of $499.50, which actually comes exactly to $29.97. So I wanted to put that out there to you and let you know that that's happening. I can go, it's 6 1-hour video conferences. It happens at 2 p.m. Eastern time. Again, they're live. I'm trying to think what else we do. We cover everything. We cover all of this. We cover slides. We cover content. We cover message. We cover media. We cover video. And my goodness, I mean, it's just very comprehensive. I'm very proud of it. It'll be the 5th time I'm offering it. And let's see, participants, again, have included CEOs, CFOs. We had a CFO of a sovereign wealth fund from the Middle East. We also often have partners for consulting firms. We have senior VPs. We have coaching industry clients, people who are looking to get out on stages and sell from the stage and so forth. So lots of really great people. It's a lot of fun. And, hope you're interested in it. Take a look. And again, I don't think I gave you the coupon, the promo code. Promo code for this is special. If you want to get that, that special price, if you enter that promo code, you'll get that special, the reduction in the fee. You'll save some money with that. So, okay, so we start on Friday the 19th. And that code is good through this Sunday, and then that's coming down, and the price will again go up at midnight on Sunday to the $3,600. All right, let's go to the final myth. All right, and that is I'm shy and introverted, so I can never get good at this. So, okay, well, I got to admit somebody here. So you're looking at the shyest and most introverted person. All right. I am shy and introverted. It is my constant companion. It is my personality trait from the time I was a child. I have had to make an uneasy peace with it. And so when I was doing that speaking tour, it was really difficult for me because of that personality trait. Now, I'm shy and introverted, but I really like people. So that helps. I like people. I think people are interesting. And so I like getting to know new people. But what happens to me is I have to go and decompress. Or as one of my audience members said, when I mentioned this is actually, I think was it the first or second keynote? She said, "Oh, you must have to decompose when you're, after you speak, if you're shy and introverted." And I said, yeah, listen, I'm old, but I'm not that old. I'm not ready to decompose quite yet. But yeah, I had to decompress. So I have to find time to just calm my mind and to have some quiet time to recharge and get energized again for the next one. And so being shy and introverted does not preclude your being good at this. It doesn't preclude that. Command of a platform, having a commanding presence, which is what we're talking about today, is really about, it's about knowing that these are learned skills. It is not inborn. These are learned skills. I had to learn them. You have to learn them. And yet, if you do, it's like riding a bike. They are yours forever. Now, does that mean you can stop doing them and everything will be just hunky-dory the next time you get invited to speak? No, you get rusty. So I was rusty. I think a couple of months had gone by since the last talk, before my September tour. And so I had to, it's hard with all of the distractions that we have, where we are constantly being tempted with so much information coming our way, that I had to, ramp up again. I had to practice again. And as I mentioned, I don't like practice any more than you don't like practice. So, but you have to do it in order to be good at this stuff. I was working with another client, and this person was a partner in a consulting firm, and she had decided that it was time for her to and then we're going to finish and I'll take questions. She decided it was time for her to start getting out there in a much bigger way. And she decided that she was going to go to one of the, consulting firm partners, consultants, I should say, they specialized in particular industries, and her industry was the technology industry. And she decided that it was time for her to go out to some of these big technology conferences to speak, to do one of the breakout sessions. She was not yet in a position where she would be considered for a main stage presentation. They're usually booking celebrity speakers for that, or somebody like me, a professional speaker, but she certainly could be considered as a breakout speaker in one of these for one of these concurrent sessions, right? So we set some benchmarks for her. The first was, could she come up with a pithy title and good takeaways that the organizers would be attracted to? So she came up with something good. I approved it, got accepted, check, right? That was that. Then she had to prepare. She had to do the hard work of preparing. And the other thing too is that I may spend some time with clients, but mostly it's on your own. You're practicing. I'm giving you practice schedules, and you're practicing whether you like it or not. If you want to be good, if you want to be very good, if you want to knock it out of the park. And so she had to do the hard work of practicing. And so, so she did that. She did that. She felt like she was ready. She was nervous, but ready. Then she had to deliver the presentation. You know how it is. You go to these conferences, you walk the 2 miles to your breakout session in these big conference centers, and you're just hoping and praying that somebody, that the speaker that you're seeing doesn't bore you to death. And most of the time they do, right? They're standing behind their podium and they're just doing some really boring slides that are in 10-point font, and you can't see it from 10 rows back. And it's very unfortunate. But so what we wanted to make sure happened was that this individual was commanded the platform, really was out there just seeming like she was having a good time and giving that great information and telling a lot of stories, which, by the way, we don't have time to go into today, unfortunately. But we go into great detail, of course, in coaching. But she wanted to make sure that she brought them to her. So we call this the waiting in line test. Did she create a clamor factor? And sure enough, people were waiting in line to see her at the end of her presentation. You know how it is. You see a great speaker, you've never heard of them before, and then suddenly it's like, okay, they have to, they want to exchange business cards, they wait patiently in line, they want to do business with you, they want to connect with you, they want to rub elbows with you. You're like suddenly this mini celebrity. It's kind of interesting. And but that's not where it ends. So that happened. So check that off the list. Then throughout the rest of the conference, which of course she was staying for because clients were there and she was networking, people were approaching her and they were introducing her to others who maybe had not had a chance to come to her breakout session. They had unfortunately chosen another boring breakout session. And then, so that happened. And then it doesn't end there. You go back to your office and people are calling you and they're linking in with you and they're trying to schedule meetings with you. And they are also, and I want you to be very clear about this, they are also providing new and even more highly qualified opportunities for you to address other groups, even better groups, higher qualified groups. So, it's a scaffolding, right? You scaffold on top of one thing leads to another, leads to another, leads to another. And so all of these things happened for her. And of course, we were so happy about that. So in terms of and she was shy and introverted. That's how come I told you that story. She considered herself a shy introvert, like many of us. But it is not a deal breaker. So I hope that all of the things that I've told you here will help you change your mindset around this. And I'm happy to take questions. If you've got a question and would like to do it by voice, just raise your hand. I think if you hover over the Yeah, thanks. Amanda said all lowercase for special, by the way. If you enter the coupon, the promo code. If you raise your hand, if you hover over the participant window, if you raise your hand, click the raise hand icon, I will unmute you and you can ask by voice, or you can type into the chat window and I'll answer questions that way, whatever you think is whatever is the most convenient. So I'm going to have a sip of water right now. And it's good to see some familiar names and faces here. People that I haven't talked to in quite some time too. So that's great. I'm glad you could make it. So what questions do you have? And by the way, did you see the way that I asked that question? What questions do you have when and feel free to use that. It's a great frame. In other words, it's a way for you to tell people that you are, that questions are good, that they should have questions and that you're eager to answer them instead of, people who will say any questions or questions. People are afraid, they're shy about asking questions. All right, so I hope that you have some questions that you use your access to me here before we end here today. As I said, you can hover over the participant window, your name. There should be a raise hand icon. If you see that, if you don't see that, let's see. I am looking to see if there's any raised hand icons. I do not see any, but we've got a message. Okay, gotta run. Bye, Kay. Okay. All right, what questions? Last chance. Okay, here we go. Any tips? Great. Great, from Seda. Okay. Any tips around using filler words or general advice around speaking in groups? Okay, Hannah. Okay, Hannah, I'll unmute you in a moment. First, I'm going to answer, is it Seda? Seda's question. Filler words, first, I have different opinion about filler words than others. Like and and are only bad if you use them excessively. There are reasons for like and They are conversational rituals. They're smoothers. But if you use them excessively, then it gets in the way of your communication. So you've got to train yourself to not use them excessively. And are the same type of thing, only they're not actual words. They are ways that we let people know we are still there, that we are thinking. And so if you are thinking and you have to say or and I do this, you probably heard me say and here during this webinar, then it's because I haven't gone anywhere. It's especially effective on the phone because they can't see you, right? So that's something that can happen. So as long as it isn't excessive, don't worry about it. You can train yourself not to use them at all, but I think there's much too big a deal made of them in the speaking profession and in presentations. It's almost Pavlovian, right? Where they, bang the gong every time you say or like or They are conversation smoothers, the like and and they're not, as long as you don't use them excessively, it shouldn't be a problem. Okay, Hannah, let's see. Do you practice in front of a mirror or to a wall? I just practice I don't need a mirror anymore, Hannah, and I don't need I don't need to record myself, but you might. I think that practicing in front of a mirror is a good idea. Now, don't forget, in front of a mirror, you're reversed. So the way you look is a little bit different, but it's certainly helpful. And at least you have somebody to make eye contact with. You can make eye contact with yourself. But the other thing that you can use, which I alluded to a moment ago, is to set up a video camera or your phone to video you. Boy, let me tell you something. That's a real wake-up call, because when you see yourself on video, it is 100 times more painful than hearing a voice recording. right? Everything is reversed. Your hair is parted on a different side. Your eyes squintier on one side than another. We're not symmetrical. So you can look in a mirror, for example, in the morning when you are getting ready to go and deliver a presentation, and you're thinking, yeah, I look good, I'm out the door. But you then see yourself and you're dressed exactly the same way. You look exactly the same. You see yourself on video and you're like, can't look at myself. So I think doing it, if you're new at this or if you are really working at getting better, videoing yourself is a truly important thing to do, at least early on. I don't do it anymore. I know the way I look. Okay, so let me just tell you what I did. I hired videographers to come in and record 2 of my presentations in the last couple of weeks, the one in Los Angeles and the one in Las Vegas, because I want to see what I do. And I want to see what kinds of habits that I have. And I also need clips for my speaker reel. But, I do not hesitate to watch myself because I'm used to it. I'm used to watching myself on video. It's still somewhat painful and I'm still super and uber critical of the way of everything. And you might be too, but it is still an excellent way to see yourself as other people see you. You're welcome, Seda. Let's see. How do you get over the pain of watching yourself? I hope I answered that question, Hannah. You kind of get over it eventually. You get used to it. Your eye, your brain trains you train your brain to see yourself in that new way as other people see you. This is our final question here. One new message. Okay. How do you get over the pain? Okay. I've got that. Okay. Great. What other questions do you have before I run? And I am going to have to run because sadly, I've got to run like in a minute. Well, everybody, I want to thank you for being here today. I'm going to put this up as a replay. It'll be up through Sunday. Remember the program that starts next Friday, the 19th, Command the Room, Mastering the Art of Speaking and Communication. Very comprehensive. I'm in love with it. It's the 5th time I'm offering it. And if you want a special price and offer, I'm happy to offer you the preferred price of $29.97, which would be $499.50 per month for 6 months. And but that goes away midnight on Sunday. So thank you so much for being here with me today. And I look forward to being in touch and have a wonderful rest of your week and weekend, and hope to see you in the program starting next Friday. All right. Bye-bye.